Right.
This is Doug and Adam from BizBuySell, and we're going to let them give us an update, their quarterly insight report. So guys, thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate you coming in and doing this quarterly for us, and I'll hand the microphone off to you.
Sounds good. We're happy to do it. Happy to be with you. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, George. Ron, don't think I've seen you virtually or otherwise since we saw each other in person at the IBBA.
I know.
And I know there was an IBBA mid-year meeting just in the last hour. So for those of you who are coming over from the IBBA meeting over to this webinar, I guess today's your webinar Tuesday. And we enjoy coming on every quarter. I know that this is a session that's eagerly anticipated, and we get a lot of good participation and a lot of good feedback. And based on our insight report that we do every quarter, I'm just the opening act. I'm the warm up before Adam dives into the insight report. So I'm just going to give you a quick.
And hey, Doug, I want to make one. I hate to interrupt
Yeah.
you, but I just got some people telling me that the IBA was just mentioning in their webinar that the dates for the conference are actually been moved to May 20th and 21st.
That's right.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I know I should know that, but that got changed. So I apologize. So everybody put down May 2021 location the same. Off to you. Sorry, Doug.
In Orlando. I was aware of that. Thanks, Ron. So this morning I will give a quick update on what's going on at BizBuySell, and before Adam goes into his report and talks, and then we do some Q&A. Of course, BizBuySell, we are in the business to help brokers succeed, and we have one singular mission as we serve business brokers, and that's to help you sell more businesses faster at maximum value with minimum friction to make you more money. So the way that we do that is we maximize your exposure of your listings to attract buyers, and also for sellers, for your services. We want to give you the tools, the information, and the analytics to give you insight on what's happening with your listings so that you can in turn communicate with your seller to make transactions go faster. And then where we can, we want to improve the lead qualification process as well. So to that end, we continue to try to make improvements. And again, I want to highlight our valued members of our Broker Advisory Council, Emmett, Russell, Lisa, Scott, Matt, Dustin, Ron, there you are, Jessica, and Steve. We've gotten great feedback and insight from them over the last year, and it's helped us make a lot of good improvements, some tangible benefits that we've been able to deliver to business brokers. So I want to thank them. And I also want to give a shout out to our field reps who have been out engaging with our broker customers over the last year. Linnea in Richmond, Virginia, Isaac, my resident physicist in Dallas, and Jen, who joined us in San Diego earlier this year. We want to expand this team. I'm actually recruiting, and I'm looking to hire a rep to cover Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. Ideally based in Florida, which is where our biggest customer base is. So brokers out there, if you know anybody, if you have any referrals, anybody in the industry, obviously someone with some experience in business brokerage or in the small business interchange ecosystem would be an ideal candidate. So if you know of anybody who might be a good fit to join the BizBuySell team, please let me know. So what are a couple of big initiatives that we're focused on in 2022? Obviously, we know that we do a good job of sourcing buyers. That's the vast majority of leads that come in for listings, but we want to get better at sourcing leads from sellers. And so the way that we're going about that is we are drawing in from our traffic visitors to BizBuySell who we can capture and who will self-identify as business owners. And once we get them to self-identify, then we can have them communicate with us what's their situation, what's their intent in potentially selling, time frame. And then we want to try to match those sellers based on their intent and time frame to a broker that's in their market. So on the broker side, we want to find brokers that are interested in getting sellers, but also may have certain types of businesses, locations, and timeframes. And if we can be that matchmaker and that conduit where we can get better at sourcing sellers, we think that everybody will benefit. So we're doing some marketing right now. We've done a little bit where we're doing it, and we want to get better. We're looking to scale it. So stay tuned for more on that, but that's something exciting that we're working on. And then the second major initiative is improving our comps. So as everyone knows, the sales process begins with evaluation. I believe this is one of the primary ways that a business broker can help a business owner sell their business, is to help them value it. So, better comps from us will enable a better ownership transfer, and it's going to allow for better engagement between the broker and the seller. So what we want to do is improve the comps on the front end when listings are being added or edited. And then we're going to allow you to highlight sold transactions in your profile, which I'm going to show you in a second. So the way that we started this last month is we released some changes to the way that listings are added and edited. I've got a few slides I'm going to run through with you to show you how that works. If I go too quickly, I know this session is going to be recorded, and if you do have questions, again, please reach out to me, our customer success team, or anybody on the broker sales team. So this is at the point of entry when listings are being created, and capturing these financials is a very important part, and it's a very important part of the success of the lead volume for the listing. So we find our data shows that the more financial information you can provide about a listing, the more engagement you're going to get from buyers and the more leads that you're going to receive. So now in our new flow, we are requiring that at least one of the top three pieces be included: the asking price, cash flow, and the EBITDA. Obviously all three would be important, and all six that are on here would be more important, but we require at least one of the three. And then also we're requiring that if there is real estate associated with the business transaction, that is required. So in the process, if for those of you who are entering your own listings, or for those of you who have somebody who's managing your listings for you, we've got little modals over here where you can hover over, and it's going to show you what we mean when we say asking price, cash flow, seller discretionary earnings, or EBITDA. And it just helps define those pieces a little bit better. And then we've got some mechanisms in place to try to capture where the numbers just don't make sense. So whether you fat fingered it at the point of entry, or whether you typos or whatever. So in this example, the asking price is listed at $250,000. The cash flow is listed at 1.25 million, and our system is identifying that and saying, wait, are you sure about that? Gives you a chance to go back and either make the change or confirm the financials. It's just going to help to have more accurate and better information in the system. Moreover, we've added new listing status or market status to convey the actual position of that listing. So now there's 4 types of market status that you can apply to a listing. Active is a standard business for sale listings on our marketplace. Off market means it's no longer within the visibility of a listing. But then we've also added sale pending. So we've received feedback from brokers who ask us, hey, I've got a listing, it's active, I'm in contract, but I don't want to take the listing down. What do I do? In the past, we had given you guidance. Well, you can put sale pending in the body copy of the, or maybe even in the headline of the listing. This is a cleaner way to convey to buyers that a sale is pending. And then the last one is obviously sold. So forgive this example. This was done by our designer, Matt, who's quite a big fan of Mad Magazine. He created a dummy, no pun intended, listing for the sale of Mad Magazine. And so in this case, where you see here where it says sale pending, that's how it will be displayed. If the button here is enabled that sale pending is included, then it'll show up on the listing in this way. Now, we will keep sale pending on the listing for 120 days. And after 120 days, unless the status is changed back to active or sold, it's going to be switched to off market. So this is just the data entry point when a listing is sold. This is the information that we're asking for. And again, the reason that we're asking for this information is to provide better comps data to the market in general. And then it also feeds and drives the BizBuySell quarterly insight report, which Adam is going to go to in a little bit. So better detail means better comps. It also means better information that we're conveying out to the industry. So this is what the listing sold confirmation page looks like in your BrokerWorks profile. If you delete a listing, we give you another opportunity to submit a comp. We interrupt you here and we say, did you sell the listing? If so, we're asking for the same information. And then in your broker profile, this is broker Alfred E. Newman. Before, there was just a section for about you and then your for sale listings. And now you have the ability to add up to 5 sold listings to convey to people who are looking at your profile listings that you've sold. So this is the details that show in your sold listings. And then in your BrokerWorks profile, you can go into these sold listings and you can select up to 5 that will show on your profile page. Okay, well, I hope that was clear. There's again a lot of stuff going on. If you have any questions, feedback, any ways that we can better help brokers and help you be better, please let me know. And without any further ado, I'm gonna toss it over to Adam.
Alrighty, let's see if I can actually get the slide flipping forward thing working, because in the past couple times I did this, I couldn't figure it out, but hopefully I can this time. I just saw a comment come in from John Hornblower. Yeah, it's difficult with the extensive list of categories. We need to make sure that there are enough business listings or business types in that category to warrant a specific category created. Otherwise, those categories will just get kind of lost and not searched, and those listings won't get as much views and leads. So shoot me, and I see, take a look at categories in Ron West Director. Yeah, we'll take a look there, and obviously feel free to shoot me an email with further thoughts on that topic. But yeah, it's something we're always considering. All right, so let's go into presentation mode here. Hey, Doug, can you do that on your end? Still in the preview mode.
Okay, I think you got it now, man.
Okay, I still see it in the preview mode, so I can see the upcoming slides, which kind of
looks good to me.
Looks good to you. Okay. All right.
We are in preview mode, guys. We need to.
Oh.
Okay, I think you've got the wrong screen being shared.
This is my luck. This happened. I swear, the past 2 or 3 times. You guys should definitely go in the archives of the BVP webinars for BizBuySell. And once it gets to my turn, this is just kind of my luck.
Okay, try again.
Now it's like incredibly zoomed in for me. What do you see, George?
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. Why don't you stop share and then start sharing again real quick? Bear with us for just a sec, guys.
It's 2022 and we're still having Zoom problems. It's pretty amazing.
It's all good, guys.
Yeah. I promise I have some really exciting stuff to share with you guys. So hang tight.
It'll be worth the wait. There we go. Now, request remote control is what you want to do.
And then Adam, you put it into presentation mode once you get it.
All right, let's try it.
Then just double click and you should be able to take control of the screen. There you go.
Did we get it? All right. Woo!
Nicely done.
Small wins. Okay, so before I get into actual market data, I wanted to follow up on something that I talked about last quarter. So we're trying to build more content for the BizBuySell community. You know, one of the things I guess it kind of frustrates me about working here is I've never actually sold a business. So in terms of helping buyers and sellers and even brokers be better at their jobs, it's hard to create that content because I've never been in, in those specific shoes. So what we're trying to do is get brokers, experts, who are also good writers, to help, get those messages across. So we've come up with this contributor program. And it basically consists of a couple things. We're looking for informative content that's unique. The way that Google plays, it has to be unique content. Otherwise, they'll slap you on the wrist and no one will be able to see these articles. But we're looking for consistent contributors, like one article a month on a topic of your choice that can either help brokers, buyers, or owners. And it's been going really well. I want to introduce you to a few of our new contributors as of the last quarter and tell you kind of what they've been writing about. So Larry Goldstein, First Choice Business Brokers in Nevada, really fantastic writer. And he's been covering topics that are related to business owners, kind of not understanding what goes into the value of their business or how to make it more of an interesting sale to a potential buyer. Things like the value of retaining key employees and how critical that is to your business, anywhere from a small to a medium-sized business. Also, this great article, no one will pay you for a business that amounts to working 60 hours a week. That does sound like a tough sell to me. And he goes through things that you could do to increase the value if you're in that situation. Also, interesting tidbit, this wasn't intended, but if anyone's familiar with the meme of the guy walking down the street with his girlfriend and then turning around and there's another girl, that's actually the same couple in that bottom article. It just so happened to be. So anyways, there's a little Easter egg for you guys. So Larry's been great. Sheila Spangler, Sheila's been a longtime contributor in the BizBuySell Insight Report, just giving us quotes and kind of telling us what's been happening in the market. And now she's starting to write for us. So she put together her first article, which is using a broker to sell your business to a friend or family, which is a really interesting topic. And, I had always known that businesses sold to, friend, family, employees. I never realized that the broker still had a big role in that process. And, Sheila talks about what she calls a bird in the hand, which essentially comes down to, if you come to Sheila and you say, hey, I'm looking to sell my business, I know the buyer, just help us get the deal finalized and across the finish line, she'll reduce her commission because the amount of time it's going to take to market to sell that business, which is usually, 6 to 9 months. Now it's like a month. So she'll actually cut the commission for a guaranteed sale and, help out the transaction along the way. So this is part of a series that Sheila is going to start contributing that I'm really excited to, see the full story. And I think it's actually based on a transaction that she performed. So really good stuff from Sheila. And then the last is Bob Flynn, another longtime contributor. I've been talking to Bob for years through email just about our Insight Report. And he's adding a lot of great content for the lower middle market, mostly at this point. Things about how, appraisals benefit the deal, even for brokers, and things like that. He has a second article that should be published within the next couple of weeks where he's actually working with B of A. So that's always an option. If you're thinking about participating in our program, you can bring in other experts to work with you on the articles. But I'm really excited about this content, and we're heavily marketing it to owners and buyers and, trying to use this as a way to get owners to reach out to brokers and figure out the best way for them to go about exiting their business. So really great stuff. Again, my email address is in the chat. So if you're interested, shoot me an email with questions and I can tell you kind of how this works. But that's the gist. All right, let's get into the market update. So the BizBuySell Insight Report. So this is something we publish quarterly. It's based on transactions reported by participating brokers. Doug went through that whole process, how that happens. If you are deleting sold listings on BizBuySell, it really helps us if you submit that sales information. You know, I know it could be a little time consuming at times, but you know, I really appreciate the people that are doing that. And if you're not, please consider doing that. At the same time, each quarter we survey owners, buyers, and brokers to get a sense on what's going on in the market beyond just the numbers. The numbers only tell so much, but it's really the information I get from you and from other entrepreneurs that tells the bigger story of why these numbers are happening. And then lastly, you know, we get unsponsored broker commentary. You know, dozens at this point of brokers have given us feedback on what's happening in the market. And, you know, feel free if you want to be on that list, or, you know, watch out for the surveys that we send. Okay, so why do we do the insight report? We do it for media coverage, and this is really media coverage for the business for sale market. You know, I think all of us can agree that not enough people know that you can buy a business, and not enough owners realize the value that they have and that they can sell their business and that they should go that route. So we're just trying to make people aware that this is an option, and we're making a lot of great progress. In fact, a reporter from Bloomberg just reached out to me on the topic of service owners occupying high property real estate, you know, throughout the country. So we're starting to be a little bit more of a go-to source, but I really want to, you know, continue to grow and in turn grow the industry with it. The second reason that we do this is really to fuel your marketing. So here's an example from Robin Gagnon of We Sell Restaurants, and how she uses the insights data. And you're really free to use it however you want. You can reach out to me with questions or permission if you really want to, but the idea is just to use the data in your web content, in your email, social media, podcasts, what have you, so that you can generate content on your own and bring people to your brokerage. So, you know, please do use this. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. All right, so let's jump into the Q1 22 Insight Report. So to me, it feels like Q1 was a year ago, just because there's so many things that have been happening in the economy. So I'm going to focus in on what the numbers showed us from last quarter, and then I have some questions for you, and hopefully people can chime in on how these larger issues that are surfacing are really impacting the market. So as usual, Q1 22 by the numbers, you can see that transactions are continuing to rebound ever since that slump back in Q2 of 2020. Year over year, transactions shot up 24%, and they're just shy of that Q1 2019 levels, which we really consider pre-pandemic. You know, even Q4 of 2019, rumbles were starting to happen about COVID. And obviously Q1, the earth was starting to shake, and Q2, the ground just kind of flew out from under us. But we're just shy of that, so that's great. The main sector holding us back are restaurants. The restaurant sector is still trying to climb back, and you know, it shot up 42% year over year, but it's still down 22% from Q1 2019. So the challenge there, I think, is, you know, quick serve restaurants and smaller, you know, delivery businesses are doing great. It's still these dine in, you know, 20 plus table businesses that are, I think, struggling and still, you know, staying off market. But there are some good signs that maybe they're starting to enter this, you know, earlier this quarter. Service still leads the pack. 45% of all transactions in Q1. I had to double take that number. It's just so high, but it is accurate, and it is the most desired business type. So we surveyed our buyers, and we asked them, what type of business do you want to buy? And you could see just miles ahead is the service sector at 35%, retail 15%, restaurants at 11%. I wish we asked this question 5 years ago, because I gotta imagine restaurant and service would be neck and neck. But now it's down to number 3 on the list. And of course, manufacturing just applies to a smaller subset of buyers, so that makes sense. And then, you know, online is there for people looking to, you know, work remote and try and get an income, but I expect that number to grow as well. So this is what people want. Inventory constraints still remain a challenge. So here's a quote from Max Fryer, another great contributor to our insight report, really great guy. And he says, you know, buyer demand seems to be leaning toward business services, self-storage, car washes, as well as advanced distribution services for manufacturers. There have been few of these opportunities, so buyers are flocking to them. There have been few of these opportunities. Inventory is still limited. And with that, we're still seeing record sale prices. There's not enough inventory. So you're having these bidding wars and, you know, people really aggressively going towards these high performing businesses. But there are signs of change. And one of the signs, I took a peek yesterday at the early data for Q2, and it does look like sale prices are coming down a bit. So still a little bit of time left in the corner. But that is one of the signs. The second sign is that our Q1 22 listing growth has been pretty significant. So service, popular, up 14%. But what is really exciting to me here is that we're seeing restaurants grow at 10%. What I'm hoping is that, the economy's opening up. It looks like COVID's behind us, hopefully. Try not to check the news too much on variants and whatnot, but sounds like we're good there. And that these larger restaurants are now starting to enter the market, and hopefully that continues and people feel more comfortable buying those establishments and whatnot, and we see that number start to grow. Manufacturing and retail up as well. So it looks like more sellers are really starting to enter the market, which is really great news. That's what's been holding us back. And if this trend continues, we should be in good shape, pending some macro themes that I'll talk about in a bit. So here's a quote from Sheila Spangler, who I mentioned earlier. She's newest contributor to BizBuySell. This is Return of the Sellers. I've been introducing my son to Star Wars, so I don't know. I just couldn't navigate away from Return of the Sellers. For those of you that aren't fans, there's a famous Return of the Jedi flick that we just watched the other day. Anyways, so Return of the Sellers, quote from Sheila Spangler. I am working with almost twice as many seller clients this year than the prior 2 years, which is just fantastic to hear. Owners that have been fence sitting have decided now is the time to sell. And that's what we're really hoping going into this year. When is enough enough? We've talked about this silver tsunami of baby boomers that have been right on the cusp of entering the market. And having gone through everything that we've gone through over the past few years, you had to imagine that this would be the year where they'd finally say, all right, enough is enough. And, just continuing on with her quote here, she says, 2020 and 2021 were great years for deal flow for me. So congrats, Sheila. This year to date has surpassed last year, and things are continuing to heat up as sellers seek to exit. Everyone in the audience, I hope that you're seeing the same thing, but it's just really promising. And I love reading things like this. It really makes me happy about what we're doing here at BizBuySell. So here's where this is going to lead into a question I have for the audience, and I'm hoping George can kind of weigh in as well. We asked sellers what's motivating them to enter in Q1. And the things that stand out are retirement, business is doing well, and I can get a good price, general burnout, concern about taxes, pandemic fatigue. These are general motivations that we hear, pandemic or not. It's just always what's going on in your life. I'm ready to retire. I'm burnt out, etc. The macro themes that you hear in the news, inflation, recession, supply chain, etc., they're not even in the top 5. And what I'm curious about, and maybe we'll find this out in our next survey, which is coming up in about a month. When do these macro events start to creep up on the list and be more significant in reasons for selling? So I'm gonna leave with this last quote from Lisa Riley. I know Lisa had a webinar earlier, so hopefully she's on. But if not, this is a fantastic example of macro in real life in a situation that she experienced last year and earlier this year. So she had a client that received a full asking price, or full offer price, 1.1 million in December. Within 2 months, this same business experienced supply chain issues, cost of good increases, and just in a couple months later, they agree on a price. What is that? 200,000, 2.1 less for that same business. So the seller already had to come down just because of these issues, these macro issues hit. And then the very next weekend, the seller loses a top customer, which essentially killed the deal, which tells me how quickly these macro, economic themes can really impact the market. But at the same time, it's not what I'm really seeing in our surveys. So thank you, Lisa, for giving us this insight. And I just want to open up a little bit of discussion. How are supply chain, inflation, other macro events impacting the business for sale market? Any anecdotes or thoughts that anyone has in the audience? Love to hear it.
Yeah, and as we're waiting for folks to start to chime in, Adam, as I said to you, I think that looking at the macro situation, at least from what I'm seeing in the market as well, and some of the discussions I'm having with my colleagues, is I don't think the motivations change, but I think that the macro things that are happening out there may be contributing to some of those decision-making points, i.e. burnout. Well, I'm having so much trouble with employees, so much trouble with supply chain. I just can't stand it anymore. I want to get out. So that's why you're getting potentially the same consistent answer structure of burnout, but the reasons for burnout are getting broader and wider potentially. And I think that's what we're seeing. And then I think the other big thing that we need to be looking at as an industry for both, protecting and or getting the greatest value for our clients is, are there any macro circumstances in the economy right now that are affecting our individual sellers, and what can that potentially do to the value of their business? And is it a time maybe to hold back or to improve those impacts before we really kind of, push harder on marketing? If you've got a client that's got a major supply chain problem, probably a good idea to get it fixed before you enter in, because as you just said, you saw this loss of a key customer and or supply chain issue was driving the value of the business down. So let's get that addressed. I mean, that's typically our approach, is we're very consultative up front with our clients. And we don't like to say no, but we'll say not now. And we try to get our clients to work with us to fix those issues before we go to market, because you've got one chance with a buyer a lot of times, and then you lose them, and it's hard to get back around to them without really demonstrating the positive impact that you've made. So we've got one person with their hand up here, Ramon. I'm going to try and bring Ramon on. Let's see if he'll come on. I think Ramon also had a question in the Q&A, and he was asking, where can you get access to the contributor articles?
I'll put a link into the chat here, but it's in our learning center. So we have a lot of articles for buyers, sellers in the learning center. So please check them out, and let me do that right now. Were you also going to chime in, Raymond?
No, you answered my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
No problem. So on that theme, George, so we were talking a little bit, about my portfolio and how sad I am about looking at it every day. Does the idea of panic selling, is that prevalent at all with business owners? Do people just think about maybe, their timeline is coming up in the next few years and they just want to get out?
I can only speak from my experience, and I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing panic selling, but I am seeing some burnout. I'm seeing issues with just folks that are frustrated, particularly certain sectors. You mentioned one earlier, Robin Gagnon. I'm sure they've got their hands full right now, because that industry is just struggling for staffing desperately right now. And I'm sure that there are a lot of restaurant owners that are just throwing their hands up, and they're done. They just don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm actually working with one person right now that is talking to me, and they literally acquired the business not too many months ago and didn't realize what they were getting into, and it was in retail, and the staffing is just screaming them. So we have to be careful about those things as we're working through them.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested in other folks' input as to how long you think staffing is going to be something that we're going to be struggling with as an economy in general. Somebody said
looks like we had a question from Tarina. Can we share these articles on our social media and our email blast? Absolutely, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam, did you want me to share the learning center just so that people can see?
Yeah, if you want to pull it up, for sure. And I'm gonna throw a link in the chat.
One of our attendees is asking, are there advertising opportunities on the site for lawyers, CPAs, and consultants?
Shoot me an email.
Yeah,
and,
or me too.
Or Doug an email. Yeah, and we can talk about that offline.
Yep. So this is an example of the learning center, and I mean, these are the this is the article that Adam just featured.
Yeah, guys, look at the bottom of BizBuySell's homepage. There's a tremendous amount of resources available to you.
The one thing
I'm stating that correctly, guys, or if you change, down at the bottom, I find that you get down in there, and down here at the bottom. And
also, I'll give a plug to the insight report. It's right down here at the very bottom of our footer on the homepage. So this takes you to the insight report that Adam was quoting extensively.
That actually reminds me, I need to give a shout out to Brenda Krause and to Tim Eldridge, who are really the brains and the whatnot behind this operation. I should get them on here actually to present one time so you guys can meet them. But
Sure. One of our other attendees is asking how many former or current business brokers are employed by BizBuySell?
Oh, Doug, this is a question for you.
How many brokers? We have a handful. Yeah, a couple of folks on our broker sales team have experience in business brokerage.
Another question came in: if real estate is an option with the sale of a business, will that be flagged or cross-referenced on CoStar/LoopNet?
So if real estate is an option, so this is a business with real estate, in which case that listing would appear on LoopNet.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're a network member on BizBuySell, basically, if you are with BrokerWorks, your listings automatically go to BizBuySell, BizQuest, LoopNet, Small Business Trends, All Business, kind of you name it, our entire partner network. So that's automatic.
Dana's asking us, is there a way to set up your system so when a person searches for a city, all the category businesses in the county display as nearby? Similarly, if they search, could they get the surrounding county geographic area?
I think what she's asking is, does our system enable, if you do a geographic search, do then all listings within certain industries come up? And the answer is no. It's our search is not enabled in that way right now. Okay. And we get a lot of feedback about categories, and we have this discussion a lot with brokers. And just from our standpoint, there's a lot of categories, and what we have to do as a marketplace is enable enough categories where relevant listings will come up in search. So the categories need to be broad enough where businesses can be populated, but they can't be so narrow that if somebody does a search in a certain market, there's 0 listings rendered.
That's really the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it for questions right now, folks. Any closing thoughts, guys?
Doug, can you share the slide deck one more time?
Sure.
That's interesting, John. I just saw your comment that you're actually seeing a decline in confidence because of these macro events. All right, so little what's it called after the concert? What do they do? Encore?
After party.
Or after party. Okay, yeah. Everyone's gonna have drinks delivered to their office right now for this after party. Okay, so let's if you don't mind, just go to the next slide. One more thing. Okay, so in the last webinar that we did here at BBP, which is always a great time, I mentioned, let us know if you have any questions that you want us to ask our buyers and owners. And this is one that surfaced. So what do you believe will be the most challenging part of purchasing a business? We asked this to our buyers, and not surprisingly, the biggest thing is finding the right business. But then you could see all the other things after that make it challenging to buy a business. So understanding business value is number one, which isn't really surprising, but that also tells me in your marketing, focusing on value is probably a big hook that you can use. Getting approved for financing, coming down with a down payment, follow that, and then understanding the steps, negotiating with the owner, yada yada. But what I saw here is finding a good business broker was very far down, which tells me that everyone here is doing a great job. So that's the way I read it. So I just want to share this data with you. And if you have any questions that you think we should be asking our audience, feel free to email me and I can try and include those in upcoming surveys.
Dana's asking, how do we get a business with property to display on a LoopNet map?
That you would actually need to list that on LoopNet. You would need a LoopNet account.
Exactly.
So it'll show up in the search, but it won't show on the actual map itself.
Yeah. So if you go to LoopNet, all your, as Adam mentioned, all your listings that are on the BizBuySell network get populated onto a business for sale tab within the LoopNet search. But to get on the map, it actually needs to be listed on LoopNet. And I hope that makes sense. And Dana, if you want to discuss or have any questions, you can reach out to me directly.
Yep. All right. Any other questions?
Tareen is asking, I'm a CRE broker with real estate firm, not my business brokerage firm. How can we link those two subscriptions? That's probably an offline discussion as well.
Yep.
So Trina, if you reach out, there's probably ways it can be done. Todd's asking, can you list one market in Iowa in the Business Insight? I'm not seeing one market in Iowa.
In the Insight report.
Can you list one market in Iowa in the Business Insight? I'm not seeing one market in Iowa.
Okay. Well,
In the drop down of markets in the Insight report is what he's saying.
Are you in the interactive report?
Are you in the interactive report right now, Todd? Yes.
Got it. Yeah, so that's the full list of markets that are available.
Okay. Trina wants to know who to contact about merging the accounts. Doug, I'm
yeah,
assuming
you can, yeah,
start
you
with
can reach
Doug.
out to me, Trina. Yep.
Yeah, reach out to Doug. Okay, I think that's it, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Hopefully you found this informative. We'll be back next quarter with more fun
Yeah, we'll
stuff.
see you next quarter. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.